Hey everyone, I'm Allison and you're watching Long Island Thrifter, a channel for anyone interested in finding bargains for as little as $1 and flipping them for profit. Do you know what it takes to be a full-time eBay reseller? Let's find out. A lot of times people come to me and say, oh, so you just, buy things and then you resell them on eBay or other platforms. And I'm like, well, there's a lot more that goes into it. Usually these people are those that want me to sell their stuff and they don't realize how much goes into it, or they do realize how much goes into it and they don't want to do it. So let's take a deep dive into what has to happen in order to list an item on eBay or other platforms. The first thing you have to do is get inventory. I mean, I'm being Captain Obvious here. You have to have something to sell, right? A lot of times people will go to thrift stores or flea markets or garage sales, yard sales, whatever it may be, to pick up their inventory. But I always tell people who are starting out in this, start at home. Declutter, get rid of the crap that you have that you haven't used. Oftentimes we find things new with tags. I mean, we see them at thrift stores and we see them at yard sales all the time. So why wouldn't you have them too? New in box, it's in a cabinet somewhere and you never used it. So those are the great ways to start where you're not actually putting a lot of money into your inventory. But before you actually even buy everything, you have to know whether or not you have the space for your inventory. Do you have a closet? Do you have a spare room? Or maybe it's that spare room that's filled with crap that you need to get rid of. But just know that the more you buy, you have to have room for that. Just ask me. My inventory is all over the place. I'm living with my mom right now, and I've got stuff in this china cabinet over here. I've got stuff out in the garage. I've got stuff up on top of that cabinet. I've got things everywhere, upstairs, in my room. I mean, it's all over the place. You gotta have room for your inventory. And ideally, it should be in one location. So now you've bought some things, or you found them in that spare room of yours. What's next? Well, you have to clean the items. Most of the time, they're used. So you have to clean the sneakers or the shoes, polish them up, make everything look nice and clean, because who wants to buy something that looks gross? Not me. Well, now you have to photograph it. You want your photos to be well lit. You want good pictures of the items so that buyers are enticed. You would never know that I picked up these shoes in a brown paper bag next to a dumpster, brought them home, cleaned them up, and then photographed them really well. A picture really is worth 1,000 words, or in this case, $100 plus shipping to Canada. When it comes to photographs, you get 12 shots on eBay. Take 12 shots of the item. Whatever it is, take pictures from the top, the bottom, and all sides. Close-ups of any damage that you may have. That way the buyer can see every angle of that item. Also, if there's any writing on the bottom of it or a tag on the clothing, take close-ups of all of that information as well. You also need to take measurements. Now, if it's clothing, you have to do, for women's clothing, bust, waist, hips, that kind of stuff. If it's this bowl, you have to take measurements of the width, the height, and how much does it weigh. Also, when you find items, you want to check and see if there are already items on eBay you can use as comparisons, or comps as we call them. You look them up by using Google Lens. You can take a picture of anything and then find it listed somewhere. And oftentimes you can find the price right on there and what the price is on different platforms. Then you can go on to eBay and type it in and find a whole list of them. If you go down on the left side of your page, you can click the box for solds. And that way you can determine whether or not this item is a hot item. Does it sell every day? Does it sell just every once in a while? Was one sold in the last year? And then you look at it and you say, okay, well, it's sold every other day and this is the average price. It gives you the idea of what it has sold for and what you should set your price at. There's a lot to do here. There's a lot more than what most people think. It's really about time. You have to put a lot of time into this. It's also about algorithms. Speaking of algorithms, could you tap the like button, or is it over here? Maybe it's here. Could you tap the like button and hit subscribe? It helps me and the channel. I appreciate it. There are a lot of people who say the more you list, the more you sell. So why don't you drop me a comment below and let me know what you think of the eBay algorithm. Is it true? Do you believe the more you list, the more you sell? Let me know. So we've bought the items, we've cleaned the items, we've researched the items, we've measured the items, we've photographed the items. Are you still with me? There's a lot going on here. Now you can put the listing up. There's actually a little box underneath any listing you find that'll say, have one to sell like this? And then you press the button and it creates a whole new listing page. Now you want to go through that though, and you have to make sure, is this all accurate? And do you need to fill in a lot of blanks? Also, you have to write your description. And if it's a used item, you put in used and you put in the condition of that item. Always be honest about the condition. You don't want someone to come back to you and say they received something and it's got a chip in it, but you never mentioned the chip. So if it's got little flea bites or a nick or a crack in it, there's a pull in the item, take pictures of those items. Circle the damage in the photograph. You also have to weigh the item and guesstimate the size box with the bubble wrap or whatever it is that's protecting the item to determine what the cost would be for shipping. Now you've listed the item. Well, hopefully you've listed a lot more than just one. You may get questions from people. They may ask questions that's already in the listing, which, politely say, here's the information. I have that in the listing as well. You idiot. No, I wouldn't say that. But I'll say it to the computer. I won't say it to the person. Now you've answered questions from nut buckets, questions from regular normal buyers, and maybe an offer's come in or someone has bought it for the asking price. What do you do next? You prep it for shipping. You package it up and then you wait for them to pay for it. Once they've paid for it, then you can print the shipping label. I bring it to the post office or to UPS and I get a receipt. Always get a receipt because you want to prove that you gave it to the shipper and they received it. On eBay, you can track the package and see when it's arrived to the destination. At that point, I usually wait a day or two after it's arrived and then I give feedback to the buyer. Feedback is great because obviously you want to get feedback for your selling ability, and especially when you're starting out, you need a lot of that. It's hard to sell things when you only have one, person that's giving you feedback or no one has given you any feedback. Because as a buyer, you're a little wary of that, but you've got to start somewhere. In the end, there's a lot of work that goes into this, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and you have to decide whether or not this is something you want to do full time. It's not easy work. The best part we all love is the shopping. That's always great. Hunting for treasure, seeing what's out there. Thanks for watching Long Island Thrifter. If you enjoyed this episode, please tap the like button, and if so inclined, please subscribe. Until next time, keep on thrifting.